What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Talking Reviews, episode 166, the Core 4 Weekly News. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk about the Club World Cup because the knockout stages are here. Plus, the NHL has a bunch of free agent news and trade talks, and the Pac-12 is back. But first, let's head into the MLB. Hey, it's been a while. Yes, I know it's been, I think, at least 2 weeks, if not longer, since an episode has dropped on the channel. That is all on me. The first week, I was super busy. Second week, last week, was supposed to be episode 166. Unfortunately, recorded that full episode, got into all the graphics, made everything pretty much the way I would normally do it, and then got into the editing process, quality of the video, and the quality of the audio was not great at all. So unfortunately, not going to be able just to post that kind of episode out for you guys for the sake of just don't like the audio or the video quality there. So hopefully this one came out much better than the last episode. So now let's get into the news. We'll start off with the Angels. Ron Washington, manager of the team, will not return for the rest of the season due to a health issue. They did not disclose what that was. Perry Manassian, the GM of the Angels, did come out with a press conference, stated that he will not be returning, said he also will not be stating what is going on with Ron. That is up to Ron Washington there. So he'll be gone for the rest of the season. So hopefully his health is improved throughout the rest of the year. Houston announced a lot of new things here. Biggest things, though, injury updates. Yordan Alvarez suffered setbacks to his rehab assignment with his hand, so he will be taking a longer time to get back. And Jeremy Pena just released a rib fracture. He'll be going on the IL. So two big names on the IL for the Astros. Atlanta announced that they have DFA'd Alex Verdugo, outfielder there. Atlanta's not doing all that great. Sounds like Verdugo just was not the right spot there. World Baseball Classic news. We got two new names playing for Dominican Republic. That is Manny Machado and Rafael Devers. And the Netherlands announced that Xander Bogaerts will be playing for them in the World Baseball Classic. We have a new arm sponsor logo for the Washington Nationals. Actually, the first arm sponsor logo ever for the Washington Nationals. It's going to be AARP. That leaves us with 4 teams with no sponsor on their jerseys. That's Colorado, the Chicago White Sox, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay. Personally, I hate the ad thing. I don't care that it brings in extra money for the team. I just hate the look of it. I think it looks awful. Honestly, there's only a few sports out there that'll look fine with sponsors. That's racing sports, and that's soccer. Then lastly, right before I was about to record this, we had news that the AL and the NL starters for the All-Star game has been announced. So let's get into it. We'll start off with the American League. Catcher Cal Raleigh from Seattle. Not surprised at all. Raleigh absolutely killing it. He's the first switch-hitting catcher to hit 30 home runs before the All-Star break. So that's pretty amazing there. First baseman, Toronto's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Second base, Gleyber Torres from Detroit. Shortstop, Jacob Wilson from the Athletics. Kind of surprised to see his name on there. Definitely a lot of shortstops out there in the league that are pretty solid. Jacob Wilson just did not have my vote when it came to fan votes on getting it, but congrats to Wilson. Very good player regardless. Third baseman, Jose Ramirez, Cleveland. Outfielders, we got Aaron Judge from New York, Riley Green from Detroit, Javi Baez from Detroit. Very shocked about Javi Baez. Seems like the fans are really liking him this year. Riley Green and Judge, not surprised at all. Green with over 20 home runs. Judge just hit the 30 home run mark of the year. And then DH from Baltimore, Ryan O'Hearn. So pretty good pickups there for the AL. For the NL, we have Will Smith from the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman from the Dodgers, Ketel Marte, second base from Arizona, shortstop Francisco Lindor from the Mets, third base Manny Machado from the Padres, and outfielders we got Ronald Acuna Jr. from Atlanta, Kyle Tucker from Chicago, Pete Crow Armstrong from Chicago, and DHing Shohei Ohtani. Not surprised at all to see Shohei's name on that list. He's a lot not surprised to see anybody's name on this list. I think the only one that a lot of people are kind of surprised about, Atlanta's Ronald Acuna, just because Acuna has not started off the season all that great, and Atlanta's not all that special this year, but he's a fan favorite, so again, still not really surprised he made this list. All right, let's get into the NHL now. We actually got a lot of stuff to talk about because we got trades, we got free agent signings, and we got a new head coach. So we'll start off with the trades. I will tell you this now. I'm not going to talk about every single trade that has happened and every single free agency signing that has happened. Only the big ones. Unfortunately, there are a lot of big ones when it comes to the free agent market signings. But I got a whole episode planned out in the future talking about, just like last year, on grading A to F on who did well in the free agency market and off season. So I do not want to talk too much in depth about that because I need to see what the rest of the free agent market and trade will happen in the off season before the preseason starts. So let's talk about the trades. We're going in date order too, so we're starting off with the oldest one here, Columbus and Colorado. Columbus picks up Charlie Coyle and Miles Wood in exchange for Gavin Brindley. The 2025 third round pick, which was pick number 77, and 2027 second round pick. That's going to Colorado. I like Charlie Coyle a lot, and Miles Wood going to Columbus. I think that definitely helps out this Blue Jacket team a lot. Anaheim and Detroit. Detroit picks up John Gibson in exchange for Peter Mrazek, a 2027 second round pick, and a 2026 fourth round pick. Huge pickup for Detroit. Detroit's a bubble team, in my opinion. I think a good goalie is really what they've been lacking ever since Jimmy Howard has left that team. So I think John Gibson could be that goalie for the Wings. On Anaheim's side, unfortunately, being an Anaheim fan and my favorite player being John Gibson, this doesn't deter me away from Gibson at all. I'm still very excited for what the season beholds for him. But it's a long time coming. We all kind of figured Anaheim was going to be moving John Gibson. To see his dollar value at over $6 million AAV go off the books, I think is a huge plus for Anaheim because a lot of new kids' contracts are coming to an end when it comes to entry level. They got to sign those guys. So I think Gibson's on the way out. Lucas Dostal is on the way in when it comes to being the starter there in Anaheim. So I think this is a good trade for both teams. I think Anaheim's haul is a little bit less, but I think in the long term, it's going to be better for both sides. So I think both teams are going to benefit a lot from this. Next up, we have Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Pittsburgh picks up Connor Clifton in a 2025 second round pick, which was pick number 39, in exchange for Connor Timmins and Isaac Belleville. Nashville and Vegas made a trade. Nick Hague signs or gets traded and also signs an extension of 4-year, $5.5 million AAV contract with Nashville. And Vegas gets Jeremy Lauzon and Colton Sissons. For Minnesota and Detroit, they made a small trade. Vladimir Tarasenko goes to Minnesota in exchange for future considerations. Toronto and Utah made a trade. Matias Maccelli goes to Toronto in exchange for a 2027 conditional third-round pick. That will turn into a 2029 second round if Maccelli gets 51 points and Toronto makes the playoffs. So that's going to be huge to see what Maccelli could do there in Toronto. I really like Maccelli a lot too, so I think that could be a good pickup for the Leafs. Vegas and Toronto made a trade. Vegas gets Mitch Marner and a huge contract along with him. A little sign-and-trade action there for Nicholas Waugh. So sign-and-trade was 8 years, $12 million AAV. Mitch Marner going over to Vegas. I think that was one of his top spots on the free agent market. He got pretty much the max you could get with that 8 years, $12 million AAV. Seems like a lot for Mitch Marner, especially with what he does in the playoffs, which does not seem to be as much as some of the other guys in the league. I think Vegas, of course, won this trade. Losing Nick Waugh, I don't think they're going to care too much. I think Nick Waugh is a pretty good asset going over to Toronto. He's not going to be fantastic over there. Definitely not compared to Mitch Marner. But for the most part, I think this is a huge trade for Vegas. I think they're going to improve a lot. I just don't know how they're affording everybody over there in Vegas, but we'll leave it up to the GM over there. Boston and Edmonton made a small trade. Victor Arvidsson goes to Boston in exchange for a 2027 fifth-round pick. San Jose and Pittsburgh made a trade. Goaltender Alex Nedeljkovic goes to San Jose in exchange for a 2028 third-round pick. And the last one, Keandre Miller does a sign-and trade with Carolina. Carolina gets Keandre Miller and an 8 times $7.5 million AAV contract in exchange for Scott Morrow, a 2026 conditional first-round pick, and a 2026 second-round pick. That conditional pick in the first round for 2026 will be the higher of the Carolina or Dallas 2026 first-rounders. I think this is a huge trade. I can't believe that Keandre is going to Carolina out of all places. But Carolina is a very good team. They have a couple assets, I think, or they're a couple assets away from making a deeper run into playoffs. It seems to be that Eastern Conference Finals choke. Can Miller help them get past that? I think they can. But yet again, I still think there's a couple more pieces that they need in Carolina. So we'll see how Miller does in Carolina, but that's a huge trade, especially going to an interdivision rival too, with the Rangers and the Hurricanes making that trade. So that's interesting to look at that. Let's get into free agent moves now. We'll start off with the earliest signings and then go into the most recent signings. Not too much going into the second day of free agency, but it did open up yesterday, Tuesday, July 1st. So we're going to look at all of that pretty much a couple days before as well. Toronto and John Tavares agreed to a 4-year, $4.38 million AAV. Montreal and Noah Dobson get 8 years, $9.5 million AAV. Love that pickup. I think Dobson going to Montreal, huge pickup. I think that's good for New York to get rid of him, because I do not think that was a great spot for him. And I think Montreal going to pick up a great defenseman there. 8 years, $9.5 million AAV. Florida and Sam Bennett agreed to 8 years, $8 million AAV. Again, Bennett deserves it. He's been killing it. Back-to-back Stanley Cups with the team. Keep that team together. Calgary and Kevin Ball, 6 years, $5.35 million AAV. Toronto and Matthew Knies, 6 years, $7.75 AAV. I think this is actually a sneaky good signing. I think it's going to look really good once it gets to year 4, 5, and 6 for Matthew Knies. I really like him. He's a young kid. Could he step up as a Mitch Marner role? I think he could. So I really like that signing. That one's going to be a wait-and-see kind of signing for the long term there, especially with that AAV there. But I really like that signing a lot. Boston and Morgan Geekie agreed to 6 years, $5.5 million. The Islanders and Alexander Romanov agreed to 8 years, $6.25 million AAV. Now that's interesting to me. I think Dobson is definitely better than Romanov, but Romanov coming in at 6.25, definitely more affordable. So I'm curious to see how well he's going to replace Dobson, but again, only time will tell with that. Florida and Aaron Ekblad agreed to 8 years, $6.1 million AAV. Now I think this is a little bit low. I expected more of the high 7s, low 8s. To get him at a low 6, I think it's a huge pickup, so I love that for the Panthers. Edmonton and Evan Bouchard agreed to 4 years, $10.5 million AAV. A large contract, but Bouchard's been one of their best defensemen the last couple years. Really like that. Florida and Brad Marchand agreed to 6 years, $5.25 million AAV. Again, don't know why Boston did not want to sign this guy. Brad Marchand looked great all season long when it came to the Florida side of the season. So great pickup there. Good job keeping him, Ekblad, and Bennett all along for another Stanley Cup run for the Panthers. Columbus signs Ivan Provorov, 7 years, $8.5 million AAV. Vancouver gets Thatcher Demko and Connor Garland. Demko to 3 years, $8.5 million AAV. Garland, 6 years, $6 million AAV. I don't really like Garland that much at that AAV. I don't really know too much of his production level. Just he doesn't really excite me as a $6 million guy. Demko, as long as he stays healthy, I think he could be, again, a top goaltender in this league. But recently, 3 years at 8.5, I do not think that is a good contract. I think that's too high for Demko, but only time will tell. Carolina and Logan Stankoven agreed to 8 years, $6 million AAV. Really like that signing a lot. I think Stankoven, give him some time, he could prosper into one of the top forwards in the league. Vancouver signs Brock Besser, 7 years, $7.25 million AAV. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about that one. Guess we'll see how that one looks. Washington and Martin Favari signed to 7 years, $6 million AAV. Again, don't know too much about Favari. I think it could work out well, but I'm not too familiar with his game. The Rangers and Vladislav Gavrikov agreed to 7 years, $7 million AAV. Gavrikov is a very good defensive-minded defenseman. Losing Miller, I think it's going to be okay there, but it's a big contract there for Gavrikov. LA gets Cody Ceci, 4 years, $4.5 million AAV. I think it's all right. Anaheim picks up Mikael Granlund, 3 years, $7 million AAV. Not too excited about this, even as an Anaheim fan. Doesn't really excite me. $7 million AAV, also very high, but only 3 years. It could be okay. So that'll be it for the trades and free agent market. Let's get into just a few other things. Dallas hires Glenn Gletson, I think is how you say his last name, as their new head coach for Pete DeBoer being fired after that interesting move in the playoffs. Minnesota now has a new arena name. It will be called the Grand Casino Arena for the next 14 years. All right, let's head to the world of soccer. We'll start off with the Club World Cup. We finally got to the knockout stages. Round of 16s. This is how the results work. Palmeiras beat Botafogo in extra time 1-0. Benfica lost to Chelsea in extra time 4-1. PSG smoked Inter Miami 4-0. Flamengo lost to Bayern Munich 4-2. Inter Milan lost to Fluminense 2-0, so big upset there. Al Hilal won in extra time over Man City 4-3. Real Madrid beat Juventus 1-0. And lastly, Dortmund beat Monterrey in a 2-1 match. Very close game, very fun game to watch that one, Dortmund and Monterrey. So that leaves us with the quarterfinals of Al Hilal versus Fluminense, Palmeiras versus Chelsea, PSG versus Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid versus Dortmund. Of my predictions for the quarterfinals, I think Al Hilal wins, Chelsea wins, PSG wins, Real Madrid wins. I don't think there's going to be many upsets, if any. PSG versus Bayern Munich, though, very exciting game to watch and a very highly anticipated game between those two squads. We head to the Gold Cup now, where quarterfinals did happen this past weekend. Mexico beat Saudi Arabia 2-0. Panama beat Honduras. Panama and Honduras drew 1-1. Honduras upsetting that one in penalties 5-4. Canada and Guatemala drew 1-1. Guatemala winning that one in penalties of 6-5. And Costa Rica and the U.S. drew 2-2, but the U.S. wins on penalties 4-3. So that led to semifinals of the USA versus Guatemala, Mexico versus Honduras. USA and Guatemala just wrapped up, waited for that game to end to record this episode. Luna scoring 2 goals in a 2-1 victory for the U.S. over Guatemala. But Guatemala looked very good in that game. U.S. did not. Defensively, a lot of problems. A couple little question marks between Freeze and his defense. So I guess the U.S. should be thanking their lucky stars that they're getting to the finals. But regardless, a win is a win. The U.S. move on. Diego Luna looked outstanding in that one. Later tonight, though, Mexico and Honduras will be playing against each other. That game starts at 7 my time right now, and it's only 6:30 right now. So as I'm recording this and editing it, I might throw out the score if their game is going on, but you guys will probably know what happens in that game before I will. Let's head to the cleanup now. Pittsburgh trades for Jalen Ramsey from Miami, along with Jonnu Smith for Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is a big trade. Minkah Fitzpatrick going back to Miami. Jalen Ramsey going to Pittsburgh. I think Miami wins big time here. Jonnu Smith, nothing too special with him in my eyes. Jalen Ramsey, I think, is just a washed-out cornerback. So I really like Fitzpatrick going to Miami. Big trade for the Dolphins. Plus, the Dolphins also got Darren Waller in a trade with the Giants. Tight end there announced he is going to be unretiring and he's going to be coming back. So we'll see how he does there. So I guess they found a quick replacement for Jonnu Smith. We had the NBA where LeBron James opts into his 2025-26 option with the Lakers, earning $52.6 million next season. James Harden declined his player option with the Clippers, decided he will sign a new 2-year contract worth $81.5 million with the Clippers. So 2 big name contracts there. Not talking about NBA free agency at all, because I don't know a lot about the NBA, not going to lie there. So I do not want to say too much opinions about it. Besides, there is a lot of stuff going on because that opened up the same day the NHL one opened up. So it was hard to keep all of them in line there. But those are the 2 big names I just wanted to mention from the NBA. We head to NASCAR, where Daniel Suarez announced that he will not be returning to the 99 car and Trackhouse racing next season, so that will be another spot open for the NASCAR world. We head to college football, where we don't have a full episode worth of college stuff to talk about, so we're going to end it up in the cleanup because, again, college sports are over. It's only college football this week. BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff will be suspended 8 games for violating school's honor code. He is most likely going to transfer because of this news. That means he's got 8 weeks to find a starting job if he's going to get one at another school. Personally, don't think that's going to be a high chance at a good school, but also don't think he's going to stick around and lose 7 games of his career staying at BYU. So tough situation there for the BYU quarterback. We'll see what happens with him in the next coming days. The NCAA committee announced that there will be an issue waiver to allow athletes that D1 programs place on a designated student athlete list to enter the transfer portal between July 7th and August 5th. What does this mean? I really do not know. Besides of what I could take away from it, it's for roster constraints, things like they expected to play kind of thing, and then they're not going to be able to play because of how many people are on this roster. So coaches and staff members can put these players on there, and they could transfer somewhere else if there's a spot for them. Kind of confusing. Wish there was more information, but this news just came out right before I recorded as well. So I guess we'll probably talk about that more next week. Last thing from the college football world, the Pac-12 is officially back. They needed one more team to come in as a football, at least a football-only school, to get them into a full conference. Texas State will join them this upcoming year and will become the Pac-12 with 8 official football schools. There will be 9 total schools involved in the Pac-12, Gonzaga being the only school that is a basketball-only school, so 8 other schools will be competing for all other sports in the Pac-12. So that those schools will now be Oregon State, Washington State as the normal 2 Pac-12 guys, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Texas State, Utah State, and then the exception of basketball only, Gonzaga being in there as a quote-unquote 9th school. So the Pac-12 is officially back. That's good for the Pac. When it looks at this roster of teams, doesn't really excite me. It looks like a weird Mountain West school kind of combination here with Boise, San Diego State, Colorado State in there, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm happy to see the Pac-12 back on fields and back on jerseys. But it's just, again, it's just not the same as it was before. So at least they're a conference again. All right, let's into the games of the week. This weekend, we got Astros versus Dodgers, 3-game set. Huge when those two teams are going up against each other. Formula One, we get the Qatar Airways British Grand Prix Sunday at 7 a.m. ESPN2. NASCAR, the Chicago Street Course, that's on Sunday, 11 a.m. on TNT. Club World Cup, of course, Saturday at 9 a.m. TNT or DAZN. PSG versus Bayern Munich, huge game regardless. And Gold Cup finals are on Sunday, 4 p.m. on Fox. That's going to be the United States against either Mexico or Honduras. You guys will know by the time this releases. So go check that one out. Sunday, 4 p.m. on Fox. All right, guys, that would do for this episode. Thank you guys for listening and watching. That wraps up 166 episodes. Again, I'm going to try my best to get episodes out weekly. A lot of stuff has been coming up recently, and then obviously the really bad recording last week, which really just deflated my whole energy to make another one because it's just a lot to talk about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you guys stick around and you guys hit that like, subscribe, that bell icon so you guys are notified when the episodes drop. Make sure you guys watch some sports because there's a lot to watch this upcoming weekend, and you guys enjoy your 4th of July weekend on Friday. So enjoy a safe and happy 4th of July. We'll see you guys next week.